Happy Star Wars Day, and may the 4th be with you. Or if you're watching this on Revenge of the 5th, or Revenge of the 6th, or any other day in what honestly is Star Wars month, not just a day, happy Star Wars month. I mean, this month we got the series finale for The Bad Batch, a new anthology series called Tales of the Empire, new trailers for Star Wars games, Star Wars Hunters, and LEGO Star Wars Fortnite. And another reason it's more so Star Wars month than a day is because, well, it's impossible to watch everything in the Star Wars world in one day. So that's where this video comes in. Well, they are doing a release for all of the movies in one watch for anybody that wants to do that today. I think it may be too late, but they're doing a 20-hour movie marathon in some theaters. So if you want to do that, go ahead. I'm not doing that. But hey, you do you. But that is where this video comes in. I've made a full list of all the movies, shows, and games that are part of Star Wars canon. I do have another list for the Star Wars Legends timeline, but that's a story for another day. Meaning the Old Republic content, Star Wars Visions, and other beloved stories will have to wait another day. But that day will come soon. Now, some of the projects in the canon timeline aren't considered canon, but they actually feed into canon well, and it was a dumb decision, even if the projects aren't good, to remove them from canon. So I decided to keep them in this world because it makes it more fun. Last year at Star Wars Celebration, they made this list easier for me by telling us the separate eras of the Star Wars world, starting with Dawn of the Jedi and ending with New Jedi Order, 2 time periods we have yet to explore in film at least. For now though, it's time to jump into a galaxy far, far away, so welcome to Big Flick Energy, and we start with Dawn of the Jedi, which, until James Mangold's The First Jedi film comes out, has no projects. This film, currently known as Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, takes place 25,000 years before A New Hope, and focuses on the discovery of the Force. But with that, we go on to the next era, the Old Republic. Longtime fans know there's a lot of Old Republic content within Star Wars Legends. Most of it has been removed from canon, for now. I say for now because we're getting a new video game in this era that's a remaster of the famed Knights of the Old Republic. I absolutely love that game and can't wait for it, but this era shows a time where the Jedi and Sith coexist and have a set structure, fighting a war for thousands of years. Until that game comes out though, this era also has no projects to follow, so we can continue into the era Lucasfilm is pushing right now with the High Republic. The High Republic takes place during a time where the Jedi have won the war against the Sith and have brought peace to the galaxy, but other threats rise that they may take on. This era starts with the new animated kids show, Young Jedi Adventures. Here, Jedi younglings study the ways of the Force, explore the galaxy, help citizens and creatures in need, and learn valuable lessons and skills needed to become Jedi along the way. We are also introduced to a vital character in the Star Wars world, Master Yoda, who even gives his first lightsaber he built away to the protagonist of the show, Jedi youngling Kai Brightstar. Now, this era has 2 other projects, but they're both currently in development, with the video game Star Wars Eclipse, which had an incredible trailer a couple years back, but no news since then, and a TV series set to be released next month in The Acolyte. Now, one other thing is I did check out Star Wars Phantom Menace in theaters on May 3rd because they did a re-release for the 25th anniversary, and they did put a preview to The Acolyte. And I know a lot of people aren't fond of the trailer, but honestly, I'm pretty excited for this show. I feel like it's going to be pretty interesting to finally get to see an era where the Jedi are living in the Republic and they have to take on a Sith in hiding. That's something that I grew up on, so I would love to see that again. Now, we don't know much about Eclipse, although I did make a video when the trailer was released discussing who the big bad in the game might be, so I recommend you check that video out. But The Acolyte is set 100 years before The Phantom Menace and sees a respected Jedi Master investigating a series of crimes that bring him into conflict with a former Padawan learner and reveal sinister forces. Eventually, these sinister forces will lead to the next era, the fall of the Jedi. The Sith have returned, bringing back the war we saw during the Old Republic, but beyond throughout the entire High Republic. We start this era off with Tales of the Jedi, Life and Death. For starters, Tales of the Jedi is an anthology series showing us never-before-seen stories from the lives of Ahsoka Tano and Dooku, 2 Jedi who go down very different paths. A spin-off of the show called Tales of the Empire just came out on May the 4th, and I will be making a follow-up video to this one discussing where in the timeline each of these episodes take place, so be on the lookout for that. But with Tales of the Jedi, Life and Death, we see a village of the alien species Togrutas, one of which proves to have the Force after being kidnapped by a creature that looks like a saber-toothed tiger. This Force-sensitive Togruta is the baby Ahsoka Tano, a character who will have a major impact in the world of Star Wars down the line. By the end of this episode, her village knows she is destined to be a Jedi. This is followed by Tales of the Jedi, Justice, which follows two young Jedi, Master Dooku and his Padawan Qui-Gon Jinn, as they need to resolve a kidnapping on a distant planet. But the Jedi found out there is more to the story, which will set forward the darker paths both of our Jedi will take down the line. We start to see this darker path for Master Dooku in the Tales of the Jedi episode, Choices, which partners Master Dooku, who is the apprentice of Master Yoda, with Mace Windu to investigate the mysterious death of one of their own. We see in this episode the way Dooku feels about the politics of the Jedi Order, which is a major turn from Windu's views. This will eventually lead to Windu receiving a seat on the Jedi Council while Dooku is left behind, setting up another internal conflict for Dooku to deal with despite being the hero of the story. Next up, we have our first film, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, with returning characters of Master Yoda, Master Qui-Gon, and Mace Windu. Jedi Knights Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi uncover a sinister plot involving the Sith, Darth Maul, and the Trade Federation. Alongside young Anakin Skywalker, who is saved from slavery, they embark on a journey that will shape the destiny of the galaxy far, far away. As the story unfolds, alliances will be tested and the true nature of the Force will be revealed, setting the stage for the epic saga to come with the reveal of the return of the Sith, and Anakin's future as the Chosen One, and as the Padawan of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We are also introduced to many important settings for the future of the Star Wars world, including Coruscant and Tatooine. This is then followed by Tales of the Jedi, the Sith Lord, which acts as a direct follow-up to the Phantom Menace. By the end of the Phantom Menace, two facts we know are that there is a Sith Lord awaiting his time to rise and that Qui-Gon is dead. This episode explores both of these premises by showing Dooku's return from Jedi Knight to Sith Apprentice. We also see the unresolved fate of another of Yoda's species, Yaddle, as this episode acts very effectively as a connection point between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, taking place in part during the Phantom Menace, and after we go to another anthology series with the YouTube series Forces of Destiny. And we start with the episode Monster Misunderstanding, another follow-up to the Phantom Menace, but less involved with Attack of the Clones than Tales of the Jedi. It follows one of the protagonists from that film as Queen Amidala solves the mystery of why a Sando Aqua monster first seen in The Phantom Menace is attacking the docks of Naboo when she interrupts poachers attempting to steal the creature's baby. This story doesn't hold much value to the world, but instead just gives us another story in the world of Star Wars. After, we have Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which takes place 10 years after The Phantom Menace and sees a group of more grown-up, experienced Anakin and Obi-Wan. Here, Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi and his Padawan Anakin Skywalker are tasked with protecting Senator Padme Amidala from assassination attempts. As they investigate, they uncover a secret army of clones being built for an unknown purpose, and delve deeper into the shadowy dealings of the Sith, alongside taking on bounty hunter Jango Fett, who the clones were modeled after, including the clone Boba Fett, who he takes on as his own son. And they also take on new Sith Lord Darth Tyrannus, otherwise known as Count Dooku. We also see the reason Qui-Gon feared bringing in Anakin to the Jedi Order as a youngling rather than as a baby, through his connection and love with his mother and a promise he made to her at the end of their time in the Phantom Menace, a love that will eventually be given to Padme. So now, in the words of Master Yoda,
"The shroud of the dark side has fallen. Begun the Clone War
as we then explore Clone Wars Volume 1. Not the Clone Wars, just Clone Wars, the 2D series, which is a very underrated series that I really don't understand why Lucasfilm doesn't include this series in canon, but it's one of those that fits extremely well into this world. So it's on the timeline for this video. Here, Count Dooku auditions for a bounty hunter on the planet Radakat by pitting them against each other in a battle arena. Asajj Ventress, who is training to become a user of the dark side of the Force and is one of the Dathomirian species, also known as a Night Sister, kills every one of the bounty hunters, and is sent on a mission to assassinate Anakin Skywalker. She engages him in a space battle through the streets of Moonalist and eventually leading him into Yavin 4, where the two engage in a lightsaber duel. Anakin emerges the victor, despite it being through means of rage and fear, a moment that is telling of the conflicts Anakin's future will hold. Apart from the main storyline, many battles ensue, including Mace Windu's fight on Dantooine, Obi-Wan Kenobi fighting bounty hunter Dirge and the Banking Clan, Kit Fisto's battle against the Quarren on Mount Calamari, the adventures on Ilum, and the Battle of Hippori, in which General Grievous makes his first appearance in the Star Wars universe. This is then followed by the third film in this world with the animated film The Clone Wars, which I must say is very disappointing considering how good the rest of the Clone Wars saga is. Here, Anakin Skywalker, alongside his new Padawan Ahsoka Tano, who we last saw as a Force-sensitive baby in Tales of the Jedi, is tasked with rescuing Jabba the Hutt's kidnapped son. As they navigate through dangerous battles and unexpected alliances, they uncover a sinister plot that threatens to disrupt the fragile peace in the galaxy. Their mission not only tests their skills as Jedi, but also deepens their bond as master and apprentice. As they forge ahead, they set the stage for the epic conflicts and alliances that will define the Clone Wars era, alongside showing us a major player in this world, Jabba the Hutt, who we first met in The Phantom Menace. This is then followed by Forces of Destiny Unexpected Company, which sees Ahsoka join Anakin on a mission planned for just he and Padme, who are in a secret relationship after Attack of the Clones. Anakin, upset at the intrusion, sets a quicker flight path that puts them in the path of a separatist blockade. Eventually, Ahsoka begins to realize the relationship Anakin and Padme have, which shows how both Anakin and Ahsoka don't have a fondness for the politics of the Jedi Order and the inability to find love in this order, which will eventually lead to both of their legacies unfolding in this world. After, we continue with the relationship of Anakin and Ahsoka as he trains her in Tales of the Jedi, practice makes perfect. Here, Anakin puts Ahsoka through a rigorous training exercise to prepare her for an uncertain future. One we see flashes of in this episode that leaves us questioning what happens down the line. But with that, we can finally jump into the beloved The Clone Wars series with Season 1 through Season 3, Episode 7. Here, the Republic and Separatists are embroiled in a galaxy-wide conflict. Jedi Knights Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, alongside their Padawans Ahsoka Tano and later Barriss Offee, navigate through a series of battles, each revealing new challenges and adversaries. Key storylines include the Battle of Christophsis, where Anakin and Obi-Wan lead Republic forces against the Separatist blockade, encountering the tactical brilliance of Admiral Trench, the Mystery of Mortis, where Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka are drawn to the mysterious realm of Mortis, where they encounter powerful Force entities known as the Father, the Son, and the Daughter, that test their resolve and hint at Anakin's destiny, which holds a much larger role for Ahsoka that I'll get into later. The rise of Asajj Ventress, Count Dooku's deadly assassin who emerges as a recurring antagonist, engaging in fierce battles with the Jedi and showcasing her formidable skills. The Deception arc, where Obi-Wan goes undercover as a deceased bounty hunter, Rako Hardeen, to infiltrate a separatist plot, leading to a web of deception and betrayal, and the growth of Anakin's darkness, where Anakin's inner conflict and growing disillusionment with the Jedi Order are explored, especially in his interactions with Ahsoka and Padme, foreshadowing what his future may hold in store. This is then followed by Force of Destiny, Teach You, I Will, where Ahsoka learns to fight with two lightsabers as she spars with Master Yoda. Her fighting style becomes iconic in the Star Wars world after this moment. This is then followed by Force of Destiny, The Padawan Path, which once again pairs Ahsoka with Yoda, where on her way to a Jedi ceremony, Ahsoka Tano detours where she's screaming and rescues the civilians from a malfunctioning droid. We then return to the Clone Wars with Season 3, Episode 8 up until Season 5, Episode 9. The galaxy remains embroiled in the conflict between the Republic and the Separatists. Jedi Knights Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka Tano, and the Clone Army, including Commander Cody and Captain Rex, continue to face new challenges and adversaries as they navigate through the ever-evolving battlefield. Key storylines and developments include the return of Darth Maul, who was presumed dead since getting killed by Obi-Wan in The Phantom Menace, as he resurfaces with a vendetta against the Jedi and a desire to reclaim his power. His return sparks chaos and threatens to disrupt the balance of power in the galaxy. We also see Ahsoka's growth and trials as she continues to grow as a Jedi, facing personal trials and challenges that test her loyalty, courage, and convictions. Her bond with Anakin deepens, but she also faces doubts and uncertainties about her place within the Jedi Order. The Mandalorian Civil War, where Obi-Wan becomes embroiled in the internal struggles of Mandalore and a relationship he holds. A neutral system with a deep history torn apart by civil war and political intrigue, as his efforts to bring stability to the region lead to unexpected alliances and betrayals. The rise of Death Watch, a radical faction that emerges as a significant threat in the Mandalorian politics, advocating for violence and conquest. Their ambitions clash with Obi-Wan's efforts to uphold peace and justice. The hunt for Darth Maul, as Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka embark on a dangerous mission to track down and confront Darth Maul, leading to epic battles and emotional confrontations that will have far-reaching consequences for the Jedi and the galaxy as a whole, and more interesting characters like the rise of the bounty hunter Boba Fett, continued battles with General Grievous and Asajj Ventress, bounty hunter Cad Bane, the Jedi Barriss Offee, Pirate Lord Hondo Sonata, and the Dathomirians including Mother Talzin and Savage Opress. After comes Jedi Temple Challenge, a series that is more of a competition show like a Wipeout but for kids, and here Jedi Master Kelleran Beck guides players through 3 rounds of trials as they strive to become Jedi Knights. Now, you really don't have to watch this series. I only include it in this world because we'll see the return of Kelleran Beck down the line in The Mandalorian, but we'll get there later down the line. This is followed by Force of Destiny, The Imposter Inside, which pairs Ahsoka and Padme. Ahsoka Tano helps Senator Padme Amidala prepare for a diplomatic meeting while simultaneously warding off the devastating attacks of Spy Kato. Next, we have Force of Destiny, the Starfighter stunt, once again following Ahsoka and Padme. While Ahsoka teaches Padme how to pilot a ship, they come under attack by a droid starfighter and must take it on head-on. We then continue to the Clone Wars with Season 5, Episode 10 through Season 7, Episode 9. Here, the galaxy continues to be engulfed in the turmoil of war as the conflict between the Republic and the Separatists reaches its zenith. Jedi Knights Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Ahsoka Tano face their most challenging trials yet, as they confront new adversaries and grapple with the consequences of their actions. Key storylines and developments include Ahsoka's departure, where disillusioned by the Jedi Council's actions and the corruption within the Republic, she makes the difficult decision to leave the Jedi Order. Her departure sends shockwaves through the Order and strains her relationship with Anakin and Obi-Wan. The rise of Darth Sidious as his master plan begins to unfold as he manipulates events behind the scenes to orchestrate the downfall of the Jedi and the Republic. The Siege of Mandalore, where Ahsoka, now aligned with the Republic but no longer a Jedi, returns to Mandalore to confront Darth Maul and his forces in a climactic battle. The Clones and the Loyalty, which is tested as they grapple with their own identities and allegiances in the midst of war. And the inclusion of a new team of clones known as the Bad Batch, who each have special abilities, and Anakin's darkening path, as his inner turmoil and descent into darkness accelerate as he grapples with his fear of loss, his anger towards the Jedi Council, and his growing disillusionment with the Republic. His bond to Padme is tested as he struggles to balance his duties as a Jedi with his desire to protect those he loves. We continue to see this as we jump into the 2D animated Clone Wars, Volume 2. It gives the audience a look at Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker's adventures in the Outer Rim territories as mentioned in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Anakin is knighted as a Jedi Knight, and Coruscant comes under attack by the Confederacy of Independent Systems. This then serves as a diversion for General Grievous and the droid army to sneak in and capture Supreme Chancellor Palpatine from Coruscant. It delves deeply into and focuses mostly on Anakin's story and the relationships between him and Obi-Wan, while also showing their struggles during the war. It builds up many of the events leading to Revenge of the Sith as it takes place closer to the film's time frame. It is also an immediate lead-in to Revenge of the Sith, as the opening scene of the film takes place only minutes after the end of Volume 2. So with that, we can jump into my favorite of the Star Wars films, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. In Episode 3, the Clone Wars reach a crucial juncture as the Republic faces its greatest challenges yet. Jedi Knights Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi are tasked with confronting the sinister plots of the Sith, even as their own order faces internal divisions. We will see the downfalls of Count Dooku and General Grievous, but as Chancellor Palpatine's influence grows, Anakin finds himself drawn further into a web of manipulation and temptation. The events of the film set the stage for the final acts of the tragedy that will reshape the galaxy, with consequences reverberate for generations to come with the rise of Darth Vader, Darth Sidious, and the Empire. Before the Empire, though, we close out the Fall of the Jedi with Season 7, Episodes 10 through 12 of the Clone Wars, which takes place during the events of Revenge of the Sith, but follows Ahsoka's escape from Order 66, as Captain Rex and the 501st Legion turn on her. We see Ahsoka team with Darth Maul to take them on as she goes into hiding, and ultimately saves Rex from the curse of Order 66. With that, though, we move into the reign of the Empire. The Sith have won the war, and the Jedi have fallen, and with the rise of the Sith comes the Empire. This starts with the Bad Batch, following the special group of clones known as Clone Force 99. It shows the transition from the clone army to the stormtroopers for the Empire as many clones turn on the Empire. But it also delves into a sinister plot by the Empire to gain the ability to clone Force users, a storyline that will have great importance down the line. This show just had its series finale earlier this week, by the way, and the end of the show gave us a 20 years later moment for two of our protagonists, which in my opinion sets up an interesting follow-up series that I hope they explore, and I'm actually planning on making a video where I come up with what that show should be. After the Bad Batch, which shows us what many Clone Wars era characters have been up to, we see the return of one of these characters in the form of Ahsoka Tano in Tales of the Jedi: Resolve. It starts with showing the funeral of Padme on Naboo, but quickly flips over to Ahsoka in hiding on a faraway planet, but is found by an Inquisitor, an agent of the Empire trained by Darth Vader in the ways of the Sith, who are trained to hunt the remaining surviving Jedi in the galaxy. This episode sets up her eventual future as she prepares to help in the fight against the Empire, after defeating the Inquisitor. This is then followed up by Jedi Fallen Order, the first video game we're discussing in this timeline, where we meet former Jedi Cal Kestis, who survived the events of Order 66. Pursued by the Empire's Inquisitors, Cal embarks on a quest to unlock the secrets of an ancient civilization, while also evading capture and rebuilding the Jedi Order. As Cal navigates through various planets and confronts formidable foes, most of which are former Jedi turned bad, including Darth Vader, players uncover the truth about a sinister plot that could reshape the galaxy. Along the way, Cal forms alliances with allies both new and old, each with their own motivations and agendas, which includes former Jedi Master Ser Junda, and one of the last surviving Dathomirians in the form of Night Sister Mirren. This game takes place 5 years after Order 66 and the events of Revenge of the Sith. And honestly, that point where you go against Darth Vader in this story, I was screaming as soon as I started playing that. It's a crazy moment. If you haven't played the game, play the game. If you don't want to play the game, watch the video, because that is a great moment. Now, 4 years after this, we jump into the events of the film Solo. We follow the young Han Solo as he embarks on a journey into the criminal underworld. Through daring escapades and unexpected alliances, Han begins to carve out his path as a renowned smuggler and pilot. Along the way, we witness the origins of his iconic friendships with Chewbacca and Lando Calrissian, as well as the pivotal moments that shape his character, including the forgotten love Kira and her connection to Darth Maul, who still roams the galaxy, but now on his own accord as a crime lord of the Shallow Collective. As the film unfolds, it lays the groundwork for the future adventures and escapades that will define Han Solo's legacy in the Star Wars universe. We continue to see Kira's story in Forces of Destiny Triple Cross, where Hondo teams up with the bounty hunter droid IG-88 to capture Kira, but she outsmarts both her pursuers by pitting them against each other so that she can collect the bounty on them. We then jump a year in the future with the show taking place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith in the form of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Here we see the follow-up to the end of Revenge of the Sith as we follow Obi-Wan living on Tatooine, trying to connect with the Force ghost of his former master Qui-Gon Jinn and looking over the young Luke Skywalker, until he is called in to save the daughter of Bail Organa, Leia. In his journey, we'll meet the Inquisitor tasked with capturing Obi-Wan and her origin that is ever intertwined with the legacy of Anakin's killing of the younglings in the Jedi Temple. We also meet the Grand Inquisitor and see a rematch between Anakin and Obi-Wan, one which helps explain how Obi-Wan knows Anakin is still alive in the future films, but that while alive, he's no longer Anakin, and he has truly become Darth Vader. After, Vader has his next mission during the events of the follow-up game to Jedi Fallen Order in the form of Jedi Survivor. In this game, we see Cal take on a High Republic era Jedi who was frozen for generations. The growing relationship between Cal and Mirren, the fight between Ser Junza and Darth Vader, and we meet another surviving Jedi turned evil who Cal must take on to build a safe haven for the Jedi Temple to be rebuilt, and for those in seek of refuge, which closes out the reign of the Empire and opens up the Age of Rebellion. By the end of this game, though, we will also have a side mission which pits us against bounty hunters until we meet face to face with Boba Fett, son of Jango Fett, who we had not seen since his youth in the Clone Wars. But with the Age of Rebellion, the galaxy prepares for the fight against the Empire. We see this first in Star Wars Rebels Season 1, the series taking place 14 years after Revenge of the Sith and now closer to the original Star Wars trilogy. We are introduced to a small band of rebels who operate in the Outer Rim, fighting against the oppressive rule of the Galactic Empire. The crew of the Ghost, led by former Jedi Canon, who we first met in the opening scene of The Bad Batch, and feisty pilot Hera Syndulla, that we also first met in The Bad Batch, but as a baby, undertake daring missions to disrupt Imperial operations and aid those oppressed by Imperial rule. Throughout the season, the crew encounters various challenges and adversaries, including the ruthless Imperial agent, Agent Kallus, and the Grand Inquisitor tasked with hunting down Jedi survivors who we last saw in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Key storylines in Season 1 include Ezra's journey, where he, a young orphan with latent Force abilities, joins the crew of the Ghost and begins his journey to becoming a Jedi under Kanan's tutelage, where we will also see the return of Ahsoka Tano as Agent Fulcrum. This is followed by Forces of Destiny, a disarming lesson, where Ahsoka gives Ezra a lesson in finding his inner strength and trusting in the Force, when she disarms him and pressures him to adapt to her attacks on the fly. With that, we can continue with Rebels Season 2, Episodes 1 through 12. Here, the stakes are raised as the Ghost crew faces new challenges and adversaries in their fight against the Galactic Empire. As they continue their efforts to undermine Imperial control and aid those oppressed by the Empire, they encounter significant developments that shape the course of their struggle. Key storylines and developments include the return of Ahsoka Tano, who aids the Ghost crew in their battle against the Empire, the hunt for Ezra, where Inquisitors intensify their pursuit of Ezra Bridger, and the legacy of the Sith, where the crew encounters artifacts and remnants of the Sith, uncovering secrets that have far-reaching implications for their fight against the Empire and the fate of the galaxy. We will also see other characters of past and future through this series, including Captain Rex, Pirate Lord Hondo, and Bail and Leia Organa. We return to Force of Destiny with Bounty of Trouble, where Sabine infiltrates an Imperial base to get important plans from Princess Leia, but the two are attacked by Bounty Hunter Droid, once again setting up this team's role in the larger Star Wars universe. Then we return to Rebels with Season 2, Episode 13 through Season 3, Episode 8. As they navigate the ever-shaping landscape of the Rebellion, they encounter significant developments that will shape their destinies and the fate of the galaxy, which include the growing threat of the Empire. As the Empire's grip on the galaxy tightens, as they escalate their efforts to crush the Rebellion, as the Ghost crew faces off against formidable Imperial adversaries, including Grand Admiral Thrawn, who proves to be a cunning strategist and a formidable foe. Ezra's journey, as he continues to grapple with his own connection to the Force and his role in the Rebellion, the return of Maul, who is seeking vengeance against his old enemies and pursuing his own agenda, which adds a new layer of complexity to the conflict as he manipulates events from the shadows and plays his own dangerous game as he seeks to turn Ezra to the dark side. And I will also say, probably the best episode of any Star Wars I have ever seen occurs in this piece, with the Season 2 finale, which sees Ahsoka, Ezra, and Kanan taking on the likes of the Inquisitors, Darth Maul, and Darth Vader, and closes out with a dark turn for Ezra's character through the introduction of the Sith holocron. We'll continue with 3 Forces of Destiny episodes, starting out with Newest Recruit, where Sabine and new character Ketsu face off against stormtroopers on a mission that becomes more complicated than they bargained for. We continue with Ketsu's story in Crash Course, where Sabine reluctantly lets Ketsu borrow her favorite speeder for a covert mission. We continue the story with Hasty Departure, where Hera and Sabine liberate an Imperial shuttle, but they board the wrong ship and it's full of troopers. Chopper flies the correct shuttle and rescues his friends mid-air. With this, we return to Rebels with Season 3, Episodes 9 through 16. Here we see the continued struggles of the Rebels against the Empire and Grand Admiral Thrawn, and also see Maul's final mission as he goes to take on Obi-Wan again. Obi-Wan wins the fight in what I would consider an underwhelming end to Maul's story, but it's also a proper symbolic send-off for him. We then continue with Forces of Destiny art history, where while on a covert mission to free Mandalore, Sabine and Tristan risk everything to destroy an Imperial outpost that has defaced a symbolic statue of Tar Vizsla. We return to Rebels with Season 3, Episode 17, through the remainder of the series closing out with Season 4. Here, we'll see Sabine's continued fight for Mandalore, but the main focus will be through the return of the father, son, and daughter from Mortis, and the world between worlds, as Ezra travels back in time to save Ahsoka from death in the Season 2 finale. Personally, I'm not a fan of this because so much has happened in the Star Wars world that you could have traveled back in time to change everything. So why do you choose this moment? But whatever. I just don't think time travel fits in this world. But we will also see Ezra sacrifice himself to defeat Grand Admiral Thrawn for now, as they are sent to the furthest ends of the galaxy, nowhere to be seen for the next decade. We'll also see the death of Kanan Jarrus, and the mourning of Harrison Dula, who eventually gave birth to their child, but also the continued growth of the rest of the Rebels, as Ahsoka's story is not yet finished in this world. We then continue with the series Andor. The series follows thief-turned-rebel spy Cassian Andor 5 years before the events of Rogue One, exploring how he becomes radicalized against the Galactic Empire and how the wider Rebel Alliance is formed. But the series holds a larger role in showing the creation of the superweapon, the Death Star. After is another trilogy of Forces of Destiny episodes, starting with Forces of Destiny The Stranger, where newcomer Jyn Erso comes to the aid of an alien girl being bullied by stormtroopers. In the next episode, Accidental Ties, Sabine returns and helps Jyn escape a stormtrooper pursuit, and Jyn helps Sabine in return. We then continue with the episode Jyn's Trade, where a Chadrafan child snatches Jyn's Kyber crystal necklace away and she must retrieve it. This necklace will play a large role in the next project, Rogue One, which follows a group of Rebel Alliance operatives who undertake a daring mission to steal the plans for the Death Star, the Empire's ultimate weapon of destruction. Led by Jyn Erso, the daughter of the scientist responsible for designing the Death Star, and Cassian Andor, the team faces overwhelming odds as they confront Imperial forces and internal conflicts within the Alliance. Throughout the film, viewers are immersed in a gritty and suspenseful tale of sacrifice, bravery, and hope, as the rebels risk everything to obtain the plans that could turn the tides of the galactic civil war. As the story unfolds, viewers witness the formation of the Rebel Alliance as a united force against the tyranny of the Empire. But sadly, the characters from Rogue One must sacrifice themselves for the rebellion to have any hope against the Empire. While Rogue One provides a thrilling and self-contained adventure, its events directly set the stage for Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. We'll see the returns of characters like Grand Moff Tarkin, first seen as a Republic leader during the Clone Wars, Darth Vader, who has one of the best scenes in all of Star Wars in this film, and the film will close out showing Princess Leia receiving the plans to the Death Star, which takes place moments before the beginning of Episode 4, A New Hope. It follows the journey of Luke Skywalker, a young farm boy from the desert planet of Tatooine, who becomes embroiled in a galaxy-wide conflict between the Rebel Alliance and the tyrannical Galactic Empire. With the help of Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi, smuggler Han Solo, and Princess Leia, Luke sets out on a daring mission to rescue Leia and deliver vital information that could aid the Rebel cause. As the story unfolds, viewers are introduced to iconic characters, epic space battles, and the mystical force that binds the galaxy together. Along the way, we witness the emergence of a hero in Luke Skywalker and the beginning of his journey to become a Jedi Knight. We will also see the success of the Rogue One squad, as the Death Star will be destroyed in this film due to their efforts of sending its blueprints to the rebellion. We then continue with the video game Star Wars Squadrons with the Empire story mode. Set after the destruction of Alderaan seen in A New Hope, Darth Vader orders Commodore Ray Sloane to eliminate a possible Alderaan refugee convoy. This is then followed by the story of the Faithful Wookiee. Originally a part of the Star Wars Holiday Special, the most popular story in all of Star Wars history, this animated story follows Chewbacca as he searches for a cure to the virus which knocked out his friends, with the help of an unlikely ally, the bounty hunter Boba Fett. We then continue into the most famous of the Star Wars films, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. The Rebel Alliance faces the relentless pursuit of the Galactic Empire led by Darth Vader, while the heroes of the rebellion, including Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, who turns out to be Luke's sister, Han Solo, R2-D2, C-3PO, Chewbacca, and the returning Lando Calrissian navigate through perilous situations across the galaxy. As the Rebel Alliance struggles to maintain its foothold against the Empire's advances, Luke Skywalker seeks to further his Jedi training under the guidance of Jedi Master Yoda on the remote planet of Dagobah, who has been in hiding since the final moments of Revenge of the Sith, although we did see him contact Ezra through the Force in the series Rebels. Meanwhile, Han Solo and Princess Leia, pursued by Imperial forces, find refuge in Cloud City, only to encounter betrayal and danger. This film gives us the most iconic moment in all of Star Wars as Luke confronts Darth Vader after training under Master Yoda and discovers Darth Vader's past as Vader acclaims,
No, I am your father.
We follow this with Force of Destiny Beasts of Echo Base, taking place during Empire Strikes Back, where Leia and R2-D2 look for Chewbacca and discover that a Wampa has kidnapped him, and they must find a way to rescue him. After we see another story during Empire Strikes Back with Force of Destiny The Path Ahead, where Luke is grateful for Master Yoda's offer to join him on a journey through the trees and swamps of Dagobah, until he learns that Yoda will be riding in his backpack. It gives an extended version of the training montage seen during Empire Strikes Back, and more insight into the short-lived relationship between Master Yoda and Luke Skywalker. At this point, we would be jumping into the new video game Star Wars Outlaws, but it releases in August, so we'll hold off on going too deep into this game until then. But we can continue into the TV series Ewoks. It takes place on the forest moon of Endor, where the adorable Ewoks inhabit the lush forests and live in harmony with nature, and follows the adventures of Wicket W. Warwick and his friends as they encounter various challenges and adversaries while defending their home from threats both natural and supernatural. Through their forest home, they encounter mystical creatures, hostile invaders, and mysterious artifacts that test their courage and resourcefulness, which leads directly into Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure, which is a live-action movie in the Star Wars world. Many people don't know this, but before Disney bought Star Wars, they were trying to do the cinematic universe thing as well, and it did not work at all. But in this film, a family crashes on the forest moon of Endor, separated from their parents by a malevolent force. They team up with Ewoks to rescue their parents, embarking on a perilous journey filled with challenges and encounters with both allies and adversaries. While the film stands as a self-contained adventure, it hints at further adventures for the family and their Ewok companions as they continue to navigate the dangers of Endor, which continue in its sequel film, Ewoks: The Battle for Endor. Here, Sindel, a young girl stranded on the forest moon of Endor, must fend for herself after her family is killed by the Marauders. With the help of the Ewoks, she embarks on a journey to confront the evil sorceress Charal and the menacing warlord, Tarek, who seek to conquer Endor. Along the way, Sindel forms a bond with the Ewoks and discovers her own inner strength. While the film concludes with a resolution to the immediate conflict, it hints at the ongoing challenges and adventures that lie ahead for the Ewoks, particularly going into the final film in the original trilogy, Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. We'll see Luke become the hero the galaxy needs and try to defeat the Empire once and for all with the help of Leia, Han, and others. He has proven himself as a Jedi Knight as he takes on Darth Vader and defeats him. But as the story comes to a close and Vader returns to the light by killing the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, otherwise known as Emperor Palpatine, fulfilling the prophecy of bringing back balance to the Force, he dies as Anakin instead of as Vader. The heroes celebrate. The heroes celebrate with the Ewoks, who help them in this final front against the Empire, as we see the Force ghosts of Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin appear. The film ends, but this world is far from ending, as we're near the next era of Star Wars, the New Republic. Before this though, we return to Force of Destiny with 4 episodes taking place during Return of the Jedi, starting with Ewok Escape. Here, Wicket and Leia Organa discover 2 Ewoks cornered by stormtroopers in the Forest of Endor. They must work together to trap the stormtroopers. After is an Imperial feast where Leia orders Han to bargain with fellow pilot Hera Syndulla for rations that the hungry Ewoks might enjoy. This is a very important part of the story to me, as it shows where the characters in Star Wars Rebels were during the events of Return of the Jedi and the final fight against the Empire. They were fighting alongside our heroes, we just never knew it. We continue to see this in the episode Chopper and Friends, where Hera is surprised to discover that Chopper has crewed the Ghost with 2 Ewoks who prove their mettle and help take down some stray ties over Endor. We then close out the Age of Rebellion with the final story during Return of the Jedi, Forces of Destiny. Traps and Tribulations, where Luke and Leia, with the aid of a lightsaber, help Nisa and Wicket stop a rampaging Gorax by resetting the Ewoks' traps. This is also the first time we see Leia with a lightsaber, as she borrows Luke's, but she will eventually become a user of the Force herself in this world. But with that, the Empire has been destroyed, and the Rebels have won the war, and it's time for the New Republic to come into power. And this era starts with EA's Battlefront 2 story mode. It follows the journey of Iden Versio, an elite Imperial Special Forces soldier, as she navigates through the events following the destruction of the second Death Star and the Emperor's demise at the Battle of Endor. As the Empire reels from the loss, Iden and her squad, Inferno Squad, embark on a mission to avenge the Emperor and restore order to the galaxy. Along the way, Iden grapples with her loyalty to the Empire and begins to question the morality of its actions. The game ends showing a story of Luke during the New Republic era, but also a new story of his nephew Ben Solo, who will eventually take on a legacy closer to his grandfather's, a story we will go into further detail with during the rise of the First Order. So hold off on watching or playing the final mission in the game known as Resurrection until I mention this story again. This is followed by the Star Wars Squadrons New Republic story mode, taking place 4 years after Return of the Jedi. The main plot focuses on 2 fighter squadrons, the New Republic's Vanguard Squadron and the Galactic Empire's Titan Squadron. The narrative follows the pilots of these squadrons as they engage in various missions that shape the balance of power in the galaxy. The game sets the stage for an epic showdown between the New Republic and the remnants of the Empire, hinting at the ongoing struggle for control of the galaxy. This is then followed by The Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2, taking place 1 year later. We are introduced to a lone bounty hunter known as only the Mandalorian, or Mando for short. As he navigates through the outer reaches of the galaxy in the aftermath of the fall of the Galactic Empire, tasked with retrieving a mysterious and valuable asset, the Mandalorian embarks on a journey that leads him to unexpected alliances, dangerous adversaries, and the discovery of a new purpose: to be the father of the lost Jedi, Grogu, of the same species of Master Yoda. I do have a theory video of Grogu's true origins that I recommend you all check out as well. Together they embark on a quest to protect the child from those who seek to exploit its power from their own gain. Throughout their adventures, the Mandalorian and the child encounter various challenges and obstacles that test their resolve and shape their destiny. Alongside allies such as Cara Dune, Greef Karga, and the returning Ahsoka Tano, they confront remnants of the Empire, ruthless bounty hunters, and otherworldly threats in their quest to ensure the child's safety. By the time Season 2 has completed, Moff Gideon, who is attempting to take Grogu for his experiments, has been defeated by the team and Luke Skywalker, who makes a surprise appearance in the finale of the season. Luke takes Grogu to his new Jedi temple as his new student. And in this season, we are also reintroduced to Boba Fett, who was thought to have died at the beginning of Return of the Jedi. With his return, we follow up The Mandalorian with what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, creator of The Mandalorian and The Clone Wars and The Bad Batch, is what they call The Mandalorian Season 2.5, The Book of Boba Fett. The series follows Boba Fett as he takes on Jabba the Hutt's former role on Tatooine, overseeing it with a watchful eye. We'll see bounty hunters like the Wookiee Black Krrsantan and the ever-dangerous Cad Bane, who has an unexplored history with Boba Fett. To me, this series really is Mandalorian Season 2.5, as it undoes the ending of Season 2, with Grogu returning to Mando rather than continuing his training as a Jedi, which leads directly into The Mandalorian Season 3, which sees Mando and Grogu join forces with other Mandalorian to reunite the clans and take back Mandalore as their home. Eventually, we'll see the return of Moff Gideon and his plan to create Force-sensitive clones of himself and bring the Empire back to power. But he is ultimately killed, with our hero surviving and Grogu being inducted as a Mandalorian foundly, the same way Mando was so many years before. Now, in The Bad Batch, we first explored this idea of Force-sensitive clones, but Omega escaped from their grip, which means there's still an untold story between the events of The Bad Batch and The Mandalorian, showing us how Force-sensitive cloning is possible. We will also see a flashback of Grogu to his past in the Book of Boba Fett, which takes place during Order 66, and it shows how he survived the attack on the Jedi Temple with the help of none other than Jedi Master Kelleran Beck from the Jedi Temple game series. We then continue with Ahsoka Season 1, where there's only one season as of now, but that's bound to change unless if they make it into a movie. This follows the flash-forward ending of Star Wars Rebels and sees Ahsoka training Sabine in the ways of the Force. However, this story takes a darker turn as Night Sister Morgan Elsbeth seeks to bring Grand Admiral Thrawn back from the outskirts of the galaxy to help bring back the Empire, and our heroes follow, also expecting to find Ezra Bridger there. In this story, we'll see Ahsoka have visions of Anakin as they face off once more, a moment necessary for Ahsoka to grow in this story. As the season is completed, Grand Admiral Thrawn returns to the galaxy with Ahsoka and company stranded. We also see another character, former Jedi Knight Baylan Skoll, with a very different mission, a journey that seems to be intertwined with the father, son, and daughter from Mortis. Speaking on Mortis, Ahsoka's destiny is also tied to that history, as it seems the daughter has been watching over her as an owl ever since the events of Star Wars Rebels. I believe she has a much larger destiny than what we have seen this far, and I actually made a video about that, and I recommend you all check it out. After Ahsoka would be the series Skeleton Crew that is yet to come out, but is supposed to come out pretty soon. No idea what they're doing with this series though, because there's been absolutely no news about it. So let's even see if it happens, because I feel like Star Wars has been canceling a lot of things. But after the New Republic, we're done. There's nothing after the New Republic. There is nothing called the First Order. There is no Kylo Ren. There is no Rey. There is no The Force Awakens. There is no The Rise of Skywalker. There is no The Last Jedi. So, thank you for watching. See you next time.